Welcome to Echoes of Empire, where we bring the forgotten stories of Britain's past back to life. The year is 793 AD. A cold wind sweeps across the North Sea, carrying the sound of waves and something darker, the beating of oars, the whisper of fate. On the horizon, longships appear, their carved dragon heads glinting in the sun, their sails red like blood. Within moments, the silence of Lindisfarne, a peaceful island monastery, is shattered by screams. Monks are slaughtered, treasures stolen, the sacred defiled. This was no mere raid. It was a warning. The Vikings had arrived, and England would never be the same again. The Vikings came from the cold north, Norway, Denmark, and Sweden, men born of storm and sea. To them, the world was not a map, but a challenge. They were traders, explorers, and warriors, yet it was their raids that would make their name eternal. Their longships could slice through waves and rivers alike, reaching deep into the heart of England where no army expected them. They came for gold, glory, and survival. But soon, plunder turned into conquest. Villages burned. Churches fell. The once mighty Anglo-Saxon kingdoms, Northumbria, Mercia, and Wessex, trembled as the northern fury descended upon them. The English called them the heathen army. The Vikings called it destiny. In 865 AD, a force unlike any before landed on English shores, the Great Heathen Army, led by fearsome warlords, Ivar the Boneless, Ubba, and Halfdan Ragnarsson, sons of the legendary Ragnar Lothbrok, seeking vengeance for their father's death at the hands of an English king. Their banners bore serpents, their axes dripped with blood, and their rage was unrelenting. City after city fell. York became their stronghold, and from there they began to carve England apart. The Anglo-Saxon kings fought bravely, but their rivalries made them weak. In less than a decade, most of England was under Viking control, except one kingdom that refused to kneel: Wessex, ruled by a man who would one day be called Alfred the Great. When the storm of the Vikings swept across the land, King Alfred of Wessex stood alone. He faced defeat after defeat, his armies scattered, his kingdom in ashes, his people hiding in swamps and forests. But Alfred did not surrender. In exile, he rebuilt, teaching his men new tactics, uniting his people with faith and courage. Then, in 878 AD, at the Battle of Edington, he struck back. The clash was fierce. Shield walls locked, axes roared, and the earth shook beneath their fury. When the smoke cleared, Alfred stood victorious. The Viking leader Guthrum was forced to surrender, baptized and allowed to rule part of England under treaty. The land was divided, Wessex in the south, the Danelaw in the north and east, where Viking law ruled and Norse words, culture, and blood mixed with English soil. For the first time, England was not one kingdom, but two civilizations intertwined. In the Danelaw, Norse settlers built towns and traded openly with Saxons. Their influence was everywhere, in language, place names, law, and custom. Words like sky, knife, husband, window, and law, all Norse gifts that still shape English speech today. But beneath this uneasy peace, the struggle continued. New Viking armies arrived, Mercia fell again, and coastal raids never truly stopped. England was a land divided, waiting for its next savior. By the early 10th century, the English began to rise again. Under Alfred's successors, Edward the Elder and Athelstan, the Saxons fought back, reclaiming the north and uniting England for the first time. But peace was short-lived. A new generation of Viking warlords returned, this time led by Sweyn Forkbeard and his son Canute the Great. They didn't come to raid. They came to rule. After decades of war, Knut conquered all of England in 1016 AD, becoming king of both England and Denmark, forging a North Sea empire that spanned nations. For the first time, a Viking wore the English crown, and surprisingly, he ruled with wisdom and strength, bringing years of peace and prosperity. Yet even empires built on steel must fall. When Knut's dynasty ended, the winds of fate shifted once again, toward 1066, and the coming of the Normans, descendants of those same Viking conquerors. The Viking invasions were not just wars. They were a turning point. They changed England's language, its trade, its laws, even its bloodline. From destruction came unity, from chaos, strength. The Viking spirit of exploration, courage, and ambition became woven into England's identity. And though centuries have passed, their legacy lives on, in the names of towns, in the rhythm of words, in the fearless heart of the nation itself.
They came as raiders, they stayed as rulers, and they left as legends. The Viking invasions were not the end of England, they were the forge that shaped it. From the ashes of monasteries rose a new kingdom, stronger, wiser, and forever changed. This was Echoes of Empire. Subscribe for more untold stories from the heart of Britain's history.